How can a 1-inch square and the words in your head team up to form an extremely powerful, simple step to thrive? Stick around and find out. Welcome to the Simple Steps to Thrive podcast. My name is Michelle Acker, and I teach women like you how to thrive in the chaos of our busy lives. I've made it my personal mission to create an uprising of calm and beauty in God's creation, and that includes you. You are amazing, and you deserve to thrive in a life of calm and beauty, not be overwhelmed with stress and chaos. I believe there's a dream in your heart, and the world needs you to get it out. You just need the time, energy, capacity, and courage to let it out and help it grow. Or maybe you need the time and space to sit back and recognize the seed of a dream God has already planted in your heart. Either way, I'm here for it, and I'm here for you. Each episode you'll get a short and sweet, simple step to thrive. Are you ready to trade in tired and stressed and start thriving? We'll take it one simple step at a time. Well, hello there. If you talk to me much, you probably know that I am a huge Brené Brown fan. She's an author and researcher, and I love listening to her tell stories. She's fun, and she's raw, and she's just kind of an all-around powerhouse. I first heard her talk about this 1-inch square idea on a podcast I was listening to, an interview she did. And the idea is really simple. So Brené tells us to draw a 1-inch square. And spoiler alert, there's a 1-inch square waiting in your podcast perk this week, so don't forget about that. Draw a 1-inch square on a piece of paper. And then on that 1-inch square, put the names of the people who get to speak into your life, the people who you value their opinions. It's a 1-inch square. It's pretty small. So the number of people that you're going to allow to influence you in that way is going to be pretty small. That's the whole point, right? Is to narrow down the people whose opinions really matter. She ties this in with a quote that she uses often from Theodore Roosevelt. And it says, in part, it says, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds." So the people on your 1-inch square are the people who are in your life with you, and they get to have an opinion and tell you if you're on the right track, if you're off the right track. It's probably not some stranger on the internet on social media. I'm just saying. I don't think that person's name is going to be in your 1-inch square. So if they have something to say, you don't have to let them in. But the people on your 1-inch square are the people who you value their input. You know that they're going to tell you the truth about how you're doing. You know they're going to call you out if you're on the wrong track, or maybe if you spoke too harshly to someone. Those people are the people whose opinion matters most to you, and they get to have a say. So what does that have to do with the power of the words in your head? Well, on that 1-inch square, I want you to ask yourself the question, does the voice in my head, the way she currently talks to me, does the voice in my head get to go on my 1-inch square? I don't know. Sometimes, yes. And other times, no. Last year, I spoke at a conference, and the whole time I was up on stage, I just couldn't shake the voice in my head telling me how horribly wrong it was going. And I walked off stage, and the first thing I said to someone was, "Oh my gosh, that was such a dumpster fire," because that was the voice in my head. But the first thing that people came up and said to me was, "Oh my gosh, that was so good. Oh my gosh, that was what I needed to hear. Oh my gosh, you made that so simple and easy." And so I had a choice in that moment that I could listen to the people who were giving me feedback, who were in the audience and listening, and they could give me actual feedback on how it was being received. Or I could listen to the voice in my head that says, "Oh my gosh, that was such a mess. You couldn't coordinate what you were saying with the slides, and it was a dumpster fire, and oh, that was awful." And so I had to actively choose to not listen to the opinion in my head about how it went. and instead listened to the people that were coming up to me and telling me that it had helped them. And I'm not telling you that story to brag, obviously. I'm telling you that story to be real. That voice in your head can be ugly sometimes. So I want you to decide today if that voice gets a say in how you're doing or not. If that voice gets a say in whether you pursue the dream in your heart or not. If that voice gets a say in whether or not you pursue something or you give up and crawl back in bed for the day. For me right now, that voice does not get to go on my 1-inch square. I'm only letting the people who are in my life and who are speaking life over me onto my 1-inch square. How about you? Can we make a pact? Can we not let the ugly voice onto our 1-inch squares anymore? That voice is not in the arena with us. That voice is trying to get us to quit. So we need to erase the power that voice has. It doesn't go on our 1-inch square, and it doesn't get to influence what we do. And eventually, together, we're going to work on erasing it altogether and replacing it with an inner voice who speaks life and courage and hope. Hey, thanks for listening today. If you're enjoying these episodes, could you do me a favor and help spread the word? Share an episode with a friend or leave a review on iTunes or Podbean. When you leave a review or share it with a friend, it helps more people take their own simple steps to thrive. I'd be ever so grateful. And don't forget to download your free podcast perk that goes specifically with this episode. Podcast perks are free tools you can use to apply today's simple step to thrive to your own life. Today, click the link in the show notes or check your email if you're already on the list. Today's episode has been brought to you by Proverbs 12, verse 18. The words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. See you next time.